I woke up inside a novel. And of course, I was the villain. The specific brand of villain. The scumbag husband who has his wife's blood drained for his one true love. Right now, a ghostly live stream chat, visible only to me, scrolls frantically across my vision. Here we go. The scumbag saves his wife, has a life-altering epiphany at her bedside, and kicks off the first chapter of his epic groveling tour. Donate. Just do it. You're a monster, but this is your only shot at redemption. He'll totally do it. Then he'll pass out while murmuring the other woman's name, just to twist the knife and Claire one last time. A classic. I look at the glowing red light of the operating room, and then turn to the doctor. No, I say calmly. I won't. I'm just some unlucky guy who got dropped into this mess. Why the hell should I pay for another man's mistakes and almost die in the process? One ID transmigrated into a trashy romance novel titled The Sterling Cage. And I was its resident scumbag extraordinaire, Caleb Sterling, the man who was about to personally sign off on draining his wife's blood for his childhood sweetheart. And here I am, standing right outside the door. The red light above the door stings my eyes. I'm surrounded. Doctors, nurses, and a few people who are clearly family, all with red-rimmed eyes. They're all staring at me, their expressions a toxic cocktail of pleading, fury, and a bizarre hint of entitled expectation. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Evans is hemorrhaging. You're the only one with this rare blood type who can save her. A man in a white coat and gold-rimmed glasses says, his voice tight with urgency. This is Dr. Leo Vance. In a novel, he's the deeply devoted second male lead, Claire's personal doctor and her most trusted friend. Caleb, please. Claire is dying. You have to donate. A middle-aged woman sobs, clutching my arm, on the verge of collapsing to her knees. Claire's mother. Before I can even process this sudden shift in identity, a cascade of multicolored text comments, like some kind of special effect, streams past my eyes. It's happening. The classic scene. The scumbag donates blood, has a sudden change of heart, and so begins the epic redemption tour. Do it. You're a disgrace to humanity, but this is how you start to make things right. If you don't, you're not even human. I'll bet you $5 he does it. Then, as he's losing consciousness, he'll weakly whisper the other woman's name, Sophie, and absolutely shatter Claire when she wakes up. It's iconic. So iconic. A live chat? Oh, I get it. These are the viewers from another dimension binge-watching my life. Or rather, binge-watching Caleb Sterling's spectacular fall from grace and subsequent grovel fest. In the original story, Caleb does donate the blood. The volume required is so massive that he nearly dies himself, landing him in a hospital bed for 2 weeks. It's during this time that he has his grand epiphany, realizes he actually loves Claire, and then embarks on a long and painful journey to win her back. In the end, after losing a leg in his company while saving Claire from kidnapping, he finally earns a lukewarm, "I guess I forgive you." Recalling that brutal ending sends a chill down my spine. I'm supposed to take the fall for the original guy's crimes, trade my life for a ticket to a redemption tour I never asked for. Why? I'm just a guy who wants to live, for Christ's sake. The instinct for self-preservation crushed everything else in an instant. I look at the operating room's ominous red light, then at the ghostly comments from an audience waiting for the drama to unfold. I smile. Then, under everyone's shocked gaze, I turn to the doctor and, speaking calmly and deliberately, I say it. I won't. Those two words hang in the air, and the entire hospital corridor seems to freeze. Claire's hysterical mother stops crying. The frantic Dr. Vance stares dumbfounded. The nurses and other family members look at me like I've just grown a second head. After a brief pause, the live chat explodes. What did he say? I won't. Did I hear that right? That's not in the script. Director, this actor has the wrong lines. HOY crap. No donation. What about Claire? Does he want her to die? Scumbag. Monster. This isn't just being an asshole. This is murder. Claire's mother is the first to snap out of it. She lunges at me like a furious lioness, hand raised to slap me. I sidestep easily, and she stumbles forward. Caleb Sterling, you heartless bastard. If Claire dies, I'll haunt you from my grave, she shrieks, her voice piercing. I dig a finger in my ear. It's a little loud. Dr. Vance steps forward, adjusting his glasses. His eyes, magnified by the lenses, are filled with disappointment and contempt. Mr. Sterling, I always thought you just had the wrong way of showing your love for Claire. I never imagined you actually wanted her dead. She's pregnant with your child, for God's sake. That last line unleashes a fresh wave of condemnation from the onlookers. The live chat goes into overdrive. She's pregnant. Holy hell, he's letting them both die. Even a monster doesn't kill its own offspring. Caleb Sterling is worse than an animal. Somebody knock some sense into him. Make him donate. I look at the self-righteous Dr. Vance and find the whole situation absurdly funny. Dr. Vance. My voice is quiet, but it cuts through the noise, silencing everyone. You just said I have the wrong way of showing love. Mrs. Evans here says I'm heartless. In all of your eyes, I, Caleb Sterling, am a complete bastard who has done nothing but torture Claire and make her life a living hell, correct? Dr. Vance frowns. He doesn't say anything, but his expression is a clear confirmation. Claire's mother glares at me with pure hatred. I spread my hands, a picture of innocence. Exactly. So if I'm such a terrible person, an irredeemable scumbag, why would I risk my own life to save a woman I supposedly despise? Do you people have some kind of beautiful, heroic misconception of what the word scumbag means? My words hit them like a bomb, leaving them all stunned. He's right. Why would a universally acknowledged villain perform a selfless, heroic act? The logic doesn't track. Dr. Vance opens his mouth, but no words come out. Claire's mother is frozen, having forgotten to continue her hysterics. The live chat has stalled. Holy crap. That logic. I can't even argue with it. Yeah, why would the villain save her? It's completely out of character. But the point is to save her life. Who cares about logic? He kind of has a point, though. I'm done dealing with this slow-witted crowd. I turn and stride toward the elevators. Caleb, stop. Dr. Vance yells from behind me. You can't just leave. I don't even turn around. Oh, by the way, I say, pausing as if I've just remembered something. I glance back at him with a smile. Dr. Vance, weren't you always saying you love Claire more than I do? Here's your chance. There are national blood banks, registries for rare donors. With your resources, I'm sure you could track someone down, right? I'm giving you the opportunity to be the hero. You're welcome. With that, I step into the elevator and press the close door button. The metal doors slide shut, sealing off the looks of shock, fury, and utter disbelief on their faces. The air of freedom. Smells damn good. 3. The elevator has spotty service, so the live chat is buffering. Fine by me. Peace and quiet. I lean against the cold metal wall, closing my eyes to sort through the memories of the man whose body I now inhabit. My head is throbbing, like someone forcibly downloaded an 800-episode soap opera directly into my brain. Caleb Sterling, 28, CEO of Sterling Corporation. Claire Evans, 25, his wife of 3 years. Sophie Grant, 26, Caleb's childhood friend, the frail and delicate one that got away. Dr. Leo Vance, 28, Claire's doctor, the man who has been secretly in love with her for years. The relationships are simple. The plot is pure melodrama. Basically, the original Caleb was manipulated by his idealized first love, Sophie, and the second lead doctor, Leo, into abusing the female lead, Claire, only to have a change of heart and kickstart a massive redemption arc. Today's car crash was supposed to be the opening act. The elevator dings, arriving at the ground floor. I walk out of the hospital entrance, and the bright sunlight makes me squint. The smell of antiseptic finally fades. My phone buzzes. I pull out. The name Sophie is glowing on the screen. The one and only. The woman responsible for at least 80% of the misunderstandings in this whole damn story. The master manipulator. The live chat signal returns with a vengeance. It's her. The white moonlight is calling. She's definitely calling to pretend to convince him to donate blood, while secretly bad-mouthing Claire. Answer it, you scumbag. Listen to how sweet and caring your precious Sophie is. I stare at the name, a wave of visceral disgust washing over me. I swipe my finger and decline the call. But I'm not done. I open my contacts, find her name, edit, delete. Then I open my call history, find her number, and block it. The entire sequence is smooth and efficient. When I'm finished, the world feels a little cleaner. The live chat is losing its mind. He hung up and blocked her? WTF, what was that? Isn't he supposed to be completely wrapped around her little finger? The script is officially broken. This Caleb has been possessed. Congratulations, you figured it out. The driver pulls the car up to the curb. I open the back door and slide in. Seeing the driver's questioning gaze in the rearview mirror, I give a simple command. Back to the office. Yes, Mr. Sterling. The car pulls away smoothly. I lean back against the plush leather and start planning my next move. If I'm going off script, I need to be thorough. No loose ends. First, money. I dial my assistant's number. Daniel. Mr. Sterling. Are you still at the hospital? Is Ms. Evans. His voice is hesitant. I've left. I cut him off. She'll live. I need you to, right now, immediately, cancel all of Claire's credit cards and supplementary cards. Freeze every account she has access to. Silence on the other end of the line. My assistant is clearly stunned by this command. Sir, Ms. Evans is still in surgery. Is this really the best? Just do it. My tone turns to ice. Our prenup is crystal clear. In the event of a divorce, she leaves with nothing. I'm just executing it ahead of schedule. You're getting a divorce. Daniel's voice is trembling. Correct. Also, I need you to run a background check. Sophie Grant, and a doctor at Metropolitan General named Leo Vance. I want all of their recent financial transactions and call logs. The more detailed, the better. If you find anything unusual, send it directly to me. Why, yes, Mr. Sterling, I'm on it. Daniel's voice is suddenly tight with focus. After hanging up, I stare out the window at the cityscape rushing by. I finally feel like I have some footing. In a novel, this car crash was full of holes, but the love-blind idiot I replaced never bothered to look into it. But now I'm here. I'm going to find out who's really pulling the strings in this little puppet show. The comments keep scrolling. Cancel her cards, freeze her accounts, investigate the first love and the doctor. This doesn't feel like a redemption arc. It feels like he's securing his assets before filing for divorce and exposing an affair. This is intense. I have a feeling this version is way more interesting than the original. For the car had just pulled up to the company headquarters when my father's call came through. Harrison Sterling, chairman of Sterling Corp., a domineering patriarch with an iron grip on his family. You ungrateful brat. Where are you right now? His roar blasted through the phone speaker, making my ear ring. The office, I said, keeping it short. Who told you to go to the office? I told you to be at the hospital. How is Claire? Did you donate blood or not? A barrage of furious questions. I did not. You. I could hear his breathing get heavy on the other end. You dare disobey me. Caleb, let me tell you, if anything happens to Claire, the Sterling family name will be dragged through the mud because of you. I don't care what issues you two have. You get your ass back to that hospital right now. Go back. I let out a soft laugh. Dad, have you forgotten? Weren't you the one who told me a woman from a family like hers was beneath us? That I shouldn't waste my time on her? Weren't you the one who said it was fine to play around, but I should never take it seriously? How is it that now, her life is suddenly tied to the Sterling family's reputation? Dead silence on the other end. Harrison was probably floored that his usually spineless son would dare to speak to him this way. The live chat was also in shock. DMN, he's fighting everyone. Now he's taking on his own father. That's a savage comeback, a direct hit to the old man's hypocrisy. So the Sterlings always looked down on Claire. Then why the hell did they approve the marriage? A business arrangement. Claire's family, while not as powerful, had patents or something that Sterling Corp needed. The book mentioned it briefly. After a long moment, Harrison found his voice again, though it lacked its earlier fire. That was before. Now she's your wife, and she's carrying your child. It's your duty to save her. My duty, I shot back. Risking my own life on an operating table to save a woman I don't love and who you've always despised is my duty. Dad, your definition of duty seems to change with the wind. You insolent boy. Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Harrison was losing it. I'm not trying to give you a heart attack, I said calmly. I'm just trying to stay alive. Let me be clear, Caleb. If you don't donate that blood today, you can forget about ever stepping foot in this house again. I'll have no son, and you won't get a single penny of the Sterling inheritance. That was the threat, identical to the one in the novel. The original Caleb, terrified by these words, had dutifully run back to the hospital and onto the operating table. Too bad for them. I'm not him. The live chat was on the edge of its seat. Here it is, the ultimate weapon, threatening to cut him off. Caleb's going to fold now. This is $1 billion fortune we're talking about. He has to give in. No one walks away from that kind of money. I listened to my father's ragged breathing, silent for a few seconds. Then, very softly, I gave him the answer he never expected. Okay, what? Harrison thought he'd misheard. I said, okay. I repeated, my tone almost cheerful. Sounds great, actually. Disown me, please. It'll save me the trouble of you calling to harass me all the time. As for the inheritance, you can give it to whoever you want. I couldn't care less. That's all. I'm busy. Bye. Without waiting for a response, I ended the call and, for good measure, blocked his number too. Finally, the world was completely silent. The live chat had gone wild, a flood of question marks and exclamation points drowning my vision. What did he say? Okay. He's giving up the inheritance, just to avoid donating blood. He's insane. This Caleb is absolutely insane. What a savage. I actually laughed. Am I watching a dark comedy now? I put my phone away and pushed open the car door. The sun was shining, and a gentle breeze was blowing, freed from the shackles of love and family. This feeling of liberty was intoxicatingly sweet. I strode through the doors of Sterling Corporation. The receptionist and employees I passed looked like they'd seen a ghost. They quickly lowered their heads, afraid to even breathe too loudly. The news had probably already made the rounds. The CEO's wife is in the hospital after a car crash, and the CEO himself shows up to work like it's just another Tuesday. Ignoring the curious stares, I took the express elevator to the top floor. When I pushed open the door to the executive office, my assistant, Daniel Chun, was on the phone, looking completely stressed out. He nearly dropped his phone when he saw me. Mr. Sterling. He scrambled to his feet, his face pale. What's the status? I asked, walking over to the massive floor-to-ceiling windows to look down at the city below. Ms. Evans's cards have all been suspended, Daniel said, wiping sweat from his forehead. But your father, he called just now and he said, his words don't matter anymore, I interrupted. From now on, I'm the one in charge of this company. My voice was even, but Daniel couldn't help but flinch. The Mr. Sterling standing before him was a world away from the hot-headed, incompetent rich kid who only knew how to throw money at problems and had zero interest in the business. His eyes, his entire presence had changed. It was intimidating. What about Sophie Grant and Leo Vance? I asked, turning to face him. I've tasked our private consulting firm with the investigation. We should have some preliminary findings by tonight, Daniel answered quickly. Good. I nodded, walking behind the massive desk and sitting down. Inform all department heads that there will be a meeting in the conference room in 30 minutes. I want a full report on all projects from this quarter. 30 minutes? Daniel stammered. Sir, that's very short notice. Many of them might not be. If they can't make it, they can submit their resignation letters tomorrow, I said, opening my laptop, no longer looking at him. Yes, I'll notify them immediately. Daniel didn't dare say another word, turning and practically sprinting out of the office. 30 minutes later, the conference room was packed. The silence was deafening. Everyone sat ramrod straight, their faces grim. Files were open on the table in front of them, but their eyes kept darting nervously in my direction. I scanned the room. The director of marketing was a balding man in his 40s, currently dabbing his forehead with a handkerchief. I remembered from the original Caleb's memories that this man was a distant cousin of Sophie Grant's. He'd gotten his position through her influence and had funneled a considerable amount of company money her way. Let's begin, I said, tapping the table. Marketing, you're up. The director flinched and quickly got to his feet. Mr. Sterling, this quarter, we primarily sponsored several high-profile fashion galas and art exhibitions, featuring the celebrity Ms. Sophie Grant as our brand ambassador to Elevate. How much did it cost? I cut through his corporate jargon. Roughly $30 million. And what was the sales conversion rate from that spending? What are the specific metrics on brand exposure? Have you calculated the ROI? My rapid-fire questions left him speechless, and the sweat on his brow intensified. Well, these events were primarily for brand prestige. The returns aren't immediately quantifiable. He mumbled. Prestige. I scoffed. Is this company a charity? You spent $30 million just so your celebrity niece could walk a few more red carpets. The director's face turned beet red. A collective gasp went through the room. Everyone knew how much the old Mr. Sterling doted on Sophie. In the past, he wouldn't have blinked at 30 million or even 300 million. What had gotten into him? The live chat popped up at the perfect time. WHOA. The workaholic brain has been activated. He's taking no prisoners. He's even going after the White Moonlight's family. That was a brutal takedown. So satisfying. Is this really the same love-obsessed CEO? He's like a different person. Ignoring the room's shock, I fixed my cold gaze on the director, who looked like he was about to pass out. I'll have the audit department take a very close look at those expenses. As for you, you're suspended, effective immediately. Meeting adjourned. I stood up and walked out of the conference room without a second glance at him. Behind me, I left a room full of stunned silence and 100 pairs of terrified, confused eyes. I knew, as of today, things at Sterling Corporation were about to change, and I was going to be the one in charge. 6. Back in my office, I had barely sat down when Daniel knocked and entered. He was holding a tablet, his expression grave. Sir, we have some of the information you requested. I took the tablet. Displayed on the screen were several bank statements and call logs. This Leo Vance is a cardiothoracic surgeon at Metropolitan General. His family background is modest, Daniel explained. However, an overseas account in his name received 2 anonymous wire transfers in the last 3 months, totaling $5 million. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. A regular doctor with $5 million in untraceable income. Interesting. Have we tracked the source of the funds? Not yet. The sender was careful, using an offshore shell corporation. It'll take some time, Daniel said. However, we did get call records. He swiped the screen, bringing up another document. In the week before Ms. Evans's accident, his call frequency with Ms. Sophie Grant was unusually high. They were talking for 1 to 2 hours almost every day, and always on encrypted burner phones. I stared at the dense list of calls on the screen, a cold smile spreading across my face. Of course, those two had been in this together all along. In the novel, Leo played the role of the devoted knight protecting Claire, while Sophie was the innocent first love who just couldn't have the man she adored. On the surface, they barely interacted. Turns out they were putting on quite a show behind the scenes. The live chat went wild. HOLY crap. The White Moonlight and the second male lead are in cahoots. I knew they were both shady. A manipulative queen and a fake nice guy. A match made in hell. So they planned the car crash together? That's terrifying. Get them, Caleb. Expose them for everything they've done. Keep digging, I said, handing the tablet back to Daniel. I want the source of that money, and I want recordings of their conversations. Find a way. Recordings? Daniel looked uneasy. Sir, that would be illegal wiretapping. Then find a legal way, I said, my gaze turning icy. Perhaps you could find a very talented friend in tech who can recover some accidentally deleted files from their phones. I don't care how you do it. I want proof in 3 days. Meeting my eyes, Daniel shuddered and nodded immediately. Yes, sir. I understand. He clutched the tablet and practically fled the office. Silence returned. I leaned back in my chair, tapping my fingers on the desk. A car crash, a blood donation, moral blackmail, a hero swooping in to save the day. It was a pretty sophisticated scheme. If I hadn't transmigrated, that fool I replaced would probably be lying half dead in a hospital bed right now, gearing up for his grand redemption tour. And Leo and Sophie would continue their charade, one playing good cop, the other bad cop, manipulating both Claire and Caleb like puppets. What a shame. They made one miscalculation. The new Caleb wasn't interested in being an actor. He wanted to be the director. From now on, I would be the one deciding how this story goes. Just then, the office door was thrown open. A figure in white rushed in, a cloud of perfume announcing her arrival. She stopped right in front of my desk. Caleb, why did you block me? Are you angry with me? It was Sophie. She was wearing a white dress. Her face was pale, and her eyes were red and swollen. She looked so pitiful, so utterly heartbreaking. If I hadn't just seen her call odds with Leo, I might have actually believed her. The live chat lit up with excitement. Here she is, the master manipulator in the flesh. Look at that performance. The Oscar she's owed. Caleb, time to test your acting skills. Don't blow your cover. I looked up at her. I didn't pull her into a comforting embrace like the old Caleb would have. I just stared at her, my face a blank mask. Who let you in? 7. My voice was cold, completely devoid of emotion. The look of grief and hurt on Sophie's face froze instantly. She had probably never been spoken to in that tone by me before. Caleb, what's wrong? She asked, inching closer, trying to take my hand. Her voice was thick with unshed tears. I heard about what happened to Claire, and I was so worried about you. You wouldn't answer my calls, so I had to come myself. Are you blaming me for what happened with Claire? It's all my fault. If my health wasn't so poor, you wouldn't have. As she spoke, tears began to fall like pearls from a broken string. It was a masterful performance. If I didn't know the script, I would have applauded her for her kindness and deep affection. The live chat chimed in with commentary. A textbook example of manipulative speak. Translation: Claire's in the hospital and you're at work? You must not love me anymore. That's some next-level blame shifting. Truly an artist at work. I watch her act, feeling bored. Worried about me? I leaned back in my chair, moving away from her outstretched hand. Or were you worried that I didn't donate blood and messed up your little plan? Sophie's eyes widened. The color drained from her face in an instant. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't form a single word. What? What are you talking about? I don't understand. You don't understand? I laughed. Let me make it perfectly clear. I stood up, towering over her. Don't think for a second I don't know about you and Leo Vance. That $5 million. Are you enjoying it? Using my money to stage a car crash to get at my wife, and by extension me. Sophie, your scheming is so loud I could hear it from across the Atlantic. Every word was a hammer blow, striking her right in the heart. She went completely limp, slumping in the chair, her eyes vacant as if her soul had been ripped out. No, that's not it. Caleb, let me explain. She babbled incoherently. Explain. I pressed a button on my intercom. Security, I need you upstairs. The live chat had gone completely nuclear. HOLY crap. He knows everything. He just laid it all out. That was so savage. He didn't beat around the bush at all. Sophie's face is priceless. Ha ha, this is amazing. Wait, what about Claire? Is she still alive? Right? I almost forgot about the female lead. I picked up my phone and dialed Daniel's number. What's the situation at the hospital? Mr. Sterling, Ms. Evans is out of danger. Daniel's voice was bright. The city blood bank had a spare unit of her blood type on hand. The surgery was a success, and she's been moved to a VIP recovery suite. Understood. I hung up, a weight lifting from my chest. Good. The protagonist's plot armor was strong enough. At least I wouldn't be on the hook for indirect murder. Now I could proceed without any reservations. 2 security guards quickly arrived. Mr. Sterling, I pointed at the shell-shocked Sophie. Please escort this young lady out. From now on, neither she nor any dogs are permitted to set foot in this building without my express permission. Yes, sir. The guards flanked Sophie, who was as limp as a rag doll, and began to drag her out. Caleb, you can't do this to me. Everything I did it because I love you. Sophie finally broke down, her voice a shrill cry. I love you. Have you forgotten? You promised you would marry me. I watched her being dragged away, a pathetic sight, and could only find it laughable. Love? Her love was a web of calculation and control, a tool to satisfy her own selfish desires. If anyone wants that kind of cheap love, they can have it. I, for one, am not interested. 8. With Sophie gone, the air in the office felt cleaner. Next on the agenda, a visit to my dear old dad. I had the driver take me straight to the Sterling family estate. As expected, the moment I walked in, I saw Harrison sitting on the living room sofa, his face like a thundercloud. Standing next to him was a middle-aged man in a suit who looked like a lawyer. Looks like they had the disownment papers ready to go. So you decided to show your face. Harrison slammed his hand on a coffee table, trembling with rage. I thought you'd abandoned this family for good. Weren't you the one who said if I didn't donate blood, I shouldn't bother coming back. I walked over to the opposite sofa, sat down, and poured myself a glass of iced tea. Don't worry. I'm here today to make a clean break. My response left Harrison speechless, his face turning an even darker shade of red. The lawyer, seeing his chance, pushed a file across the table toward me. Mr. Sterling, this is the agreement drafted by your father, he said. According to this document, you will voluntarily relinquish all shares and inheritance rights to Sterling Corporation. Furthermore, all personal real estate and assets under your name will be transferred to your father as compensation to the family. In short, you'll be leaving with nothing, the lawyer concluded, his tone professional but with a hint of pity in his eyes. He probably thought it was a sad state of affairs for a wealthy heir. The live chat was in an uproar. Why hell? He's really being forced out with nothing. That's beyond cruel. That's his own son. Is Harrison a monster? He's willing to destroy his son for an outsider. Fight it, Caleb. Don't you dare sign that. I picked up the agreement, didn't even bother to read it, and flipped straight to the last page. I grabbed a pen and, with a flourish, signed my name, Caleb Sterling. The action was swift, decisive, without a hint of hesitation. Both Harrison and the lawyer were stunned into silence. They had probably prepared a whole arsenal of arguments to force me to sign, but I had just skipped their entire script and jumped straight to the final scene. There! I pushed the signed document back across the table and stood up. I looked at Harrison's face, now twisted in shock, and felt a profound sense of satisfaction. The original Caleb had spent his entire life living under this man's shadow, desperate for a father's approval he would never receive, constantly trying to prove himself only to be compared to others. His life was a tragedy directed by another. Now, on his behalf, I had shattered those chains for good. You, Harrison pointed at me, too furious to speak. All right, I said, pausing at the door and turning back with a smile. I forgot to tell you. I have proof that Sophie Grant and Leo Vance conspired to cause the car crash. Your precious Sophie, the one who almost killed your grandchild and tried to manipulate your son, is probably about to have a long chat with the police. If you feel sorry for her, you can go bail her out now. After all, you were willing to disown your own son to protect her, weren't you? Without waiting to see the full spectrum of emotions on his face, I pulled open the door and walked out into the brilliant sunlight. I took a deep breath. I felt truly alive. Stripped of the Sterling heir title, I felt lighter than ever. From now on, I was just Caleb, a normal guy but finally free. The live chat had become a waterfall of comments. Absolute legend. I hereby declare Caleb Sterling my new hero. He signed away a fortune with that much style. He's one of a kind. Those last words were a dagger to the heart. Old man Sterling is going to have a stroke. So, he really gave up everything? How is he going to survive? Survive? I felt for the bank card in my pocket. It was from the original Caleb's personal slush fund. It wasn't a huge amount, just a couple $100 million or so. More than enough for a fresh start. Who says you have to be miserable just because you've been cut off? My life, the life of Caleb Sterling, was just beginning. 9 cutting ties with the Sterling family went surprisingly smoothly. My father, likely still reeling from our confrontation, seemed eager to scrub my name from the family records as quickly as possible. Fine by me. It saved a lot of hassle. I didn't return to the original Caleb's opulent but soulless mansion. Instead, I had Daniel find me a high-end apartment in the city center. It wasn't huge, a couple of thousand square feet, but the security was tight and the views were spectacular. Standing by the panoramic window, watching the endless stream of traffic below, I felt for the first time that I truly had a space of my own. Sir, there's an update on the investigation you ordered. Daniel sent an encrypted file to my new phone. I opened it. It was a technically recovered audio recording. The background was a bit noisy, but the 2 voices were perfectly clear. It was Sophie and Leo. The car is arranged. A drunk driver. It'll look like a complete accident, I guarantee it, Leo's voice said. And the blood? Have you taken care of the blood bank? We can't let Claire get a transfusion that easily. Sophie's voice was venomous. Don't worry. I've already had their inventory of that blood type. Disposed of. They won't be able to get a single unit in the entire country. In the end, they'll have no choice but to beg that idiot Caleb. Perfect. I want him to be the one to save her. I want him to feel guilty. Then, once he's vulnerable, we can't. I didn't need to hear the rest. It was more than enough. This was a smoking gun. I saved the recording and forwarded it to my lawyer. The rest was up to the professionals. At the same time, news came from the hospital. Claire was awake. The live chat sprang back to life. The female lead is awake. Does she know Caleb didn't save her? Of course she knows. That snake Leo probably fed her a whole sob story full of lies. Go see her. Now's the perfect time to get on her good side while she's vulnerable. Get on her good side for what? Caleb is a free man now. Why would he go visit his ex-wife? Doesn't he have better things to do? I chuckled at the comments. Go see her? Not a chance. We were already divorced, at least in my mind. The paperwork was just a formality. As far as I was concerned, we were strangers. Just as I was thinking this, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. A weak, hoarse female voice came through the line. Caleb. It was Claire. Her voice was filled with disbelief and some other complex emotion I couldn't place. It's me, I answered flatly. Why? She asked, her voice trembling. Why didn't you save me? Did you really want me to die that much? I could picture her lying in that hospital bed, pale and heartbroken. In the novel, this scene was the start of a major, heart-wrenching arc. The original Caleb, tormented by guilt, would have rushed to the hospital to watch her from afar, only to be caught by Leo, leading to a fistfight that worsened Claire's condition. What a tired, melodramatic mess. I yawned, feeling a bit sleepy. Ms. Evans, I said, switching to a more formal address. You seem to have misunderstood something. The ones who want you dead aren't me. It's your most trusted friend and your most dependable doctor. What do you mean? Her voice was laced with confusion. It means nothing, I said, not wanting to waste my breath. I'm just calling to inform you that my lawyer will be delivering our divorce papers to your room tomorrow. You don't have to do anything but sign. Don't worry about the finances. I know the prenup leaves you with nothing, but I'm a generous man. I'll provide you with a settlement large enough to ensure you live comfortably for the rest of your life. Think of it as severance pay on behalf of the man you married. The other end of the line went completely silent. All I could hear was the faint, suppressed sound of her breathing. I didn't wait for a reply. I just hung up. We were even. From now on, we would go our separate ways. A redemption tour? Sorry, the only service I offer is a one-way trip to the crematorium. The next day, Sterling Corporation issued a press release that sent shockwaves through the entire business world. CEO Caleb Sterling, for personal reasons, was voluntarily relinquishing all shares and inheritance rights to the company and resigning from his position. It was a bombshell. My face was on the cover of every financial news outlet. The speculation was rampant. Some said I was ousted in a family power struggle. Others claimed I had thrown it all away for love. A few even theorized I was terminally ill. The rumors were wild. My father, Harrison, was so inundated with calls that he had to hold a press conference, claiming that I had decided to start my own venture and the family fully supported my decision. How utterly absurd. The man who wished I would disappear off the face of the earth was now forced to play the part of a loving, supportive father for the cameras. The world of the ultra-rich was a masterclass in hypocrisy. I ignored the media frenzy and focused on building my own team. I poached Daniel from Sterling Corp., tripling his salary. He was now fiercely loyal and incredibly efficient. Sir, I've secured the office space you wanted. The top floor of the World Trade Center with the best views. The core team is in place. I've headhunted top traders and analysts from Wall Street. Our investment firm is ready to launch whenever you are. I nodded, satisfied. Excellent. Also, Daniel hesitated, a strange look on his face. About Ms. Evans. She's refusing to sign the divorce papers. Oh, that was unexpected. In the novel, Claire couldn't wait to get away from the monster that was Caleb Sterling. Why the change of heart? The live chat was just as curious. She won't sign, why not? Could she still be in love with him? No way, not after everything he did. I bet she's suspicious. She suspects there's more to the car crash. What did she say? I asked Daniel. She said, she wants to speak with you in person, he replied. Also, Dr. Vance has been officially charged by the police for aggravated assault and fraud. And Ms. Sophie Grant has disappeared. Disappeared? I scoffed. More like she heard the music stop and fled. But she wouldn't get far. Tell Claire I don't have time to see her. It's better for everyone if she just signs the papers. Yes, sir. Daniel nodded, then added, by the way, Sterling Corporation is holding its anniversary gala next Friday. They sent you an invitation. Will you be attending? The anniversary gala, my eyes narrowed. In the novel, this was a pivotal event. It was at this gala that Caleb got on his knees and publicly begged Claire for forgiveness, only to be brutally rejected, becoming the laughingstock of the city. It was also where Sophie and Leo worked together to cement Caleb's reputation as an irredeemable scumbag. Interesting. A perfect opportunity for a little payback. I'll be there, I said, a smirk playing on my lips as I looked out the window. Tell them I'll be there on time. I have a few accounts that need to be settled, and it's best to do it in front of everyone. The live chat erupted. OMG, he's going to gala. Is he going to crash the party? A showdown is coming. I need to see Caleb destroy those two. This is going to be the most epic public humiliation ever. I got my popcorn ready. Go get him, Caleb. Show them what real cruelty looks like. I smiled. Patience. The show was just about to begin. The Sterling Corporation anniversary gala was held at the most luxurious hotel in the city. The ballroom was a sea of designer gowns and tailored suits, a playground for the city's elite. I arrived when the event was already in full swing. I didn't have an invitation, but the security guards at the door recognized my face and respectfully let me pass. My recent departure had made me something of a media sensation. My entrance immediately drew the attention of the entire room. Hundreds of pairs of eyes, curious, speculative, and gloating, turned in my direction. I paid them no mind, plucking a glass of champagne from a passing waiter's tray and finding a quiet corner to observe. I saw my father, Harrison, surrounded by a crowd of sycophants. He was all smiles, but his eyes kept flicking in my direction, clearly surprised by my presence. I saw Claire. She had lost weight. Dressed in a simple white evening gown, her face was still pale, but the emptiness in her eyes was gone, replaced by a steely resolve. She stood alone, a solitary, resilient white orchid in a room full of gaudy roses. Leo was not by her side. I assumed he was having a much less pleasant evening with some detectives. And then I saw Sophie. She actually had the nerve to show up. She was wearing a pink dress, her makeup flawless, clinging to the arm of some slick-haired trust fund kid. She was laughing and smiling as if she wasn't the same woman who had been dragged out of my office by security just a few days ago. Her audacity was truly impressive. She saw me too. A flash of hatred crossed her eyes before being masked by a perfect, practiced smile. The live chat was buzzing with anticipation. Everyone's here. Let the games begin. Claire looks stunning tonight. That broken but beautiful vibe. That which Sophie actually came. Her face must be made of armor. Caleb's just lurking in the corner. Is he planning something big? Come on, do something. The suspense is killing me. Just then, the host took the stage to begin a touching tribute to the history of Sterling Corporation. A slideshow of old photos and videos started playing on the big screen. My father was invited on stage to give a speech. At the end of his rambling, self-congratulatory monologue, he changed his tone and brought up my name. My son, Caleb, though he has temporarily left the company, will always be the pride of the Sterling family, he said, looking at me with a sickeningly fatherly expression. He is here with us tonight, and I would like to invite him on stage to say a few words. All eyes were on me again. What was his game? Was he trying to force me into a public apology to stage a father-son reconciliation to save face for the family? A clever move. Before I could react, the trust fund kid with Sophie started jeering. Yeah, Sterling, get up there. We hear you gave up your family fortune for a woman. Tell us all about your epic love story. His words were met with a wave of derisive laughter. Sophie stood beside him, head bowed, playing the part of the innocent, heartbroken bystander. Claire also looked at me, her expression unreadable. I smiled. If they wanted a show, I'd give them a blockbuster. I set down my champagne glass, adjusted my suit, and with all eyes on me, I walked toward the stage. I ignored the microphone offered by the host. Instead, I pulled out my phone. Sorry to interrupt, I said, a slight smile on my face. Before I begin my speech, I'd like to show you all a very interesting video. I connected my phone to the massive screen behind the stage. A moment later, a familiar face appeared. It was Leo Vance. He was sitting in an interrogation room, looking haggard. Across from him sat my lawyer. The entire ballroom fell silent. The video was crystal clear, the audio sharp. Dr. Vance, let's confirm this one more time. My lawyer's voice was calm and professional. The car accident involving Ms. Claire Evans was orchestrated by you and Ms. Sophie Grant. Is that correct? Leo looked up, his eyes filled with regret and despair. He nodded, his voice hoarse. Yes. And your goal was to cause serious injury to Ms. Evans, then use Mr. Caleb Sterling's rare blood type to pressure him into donating, thereby making him feel a sense of guilt toward her. Is that correct? Yes. During this, Ms. Grant was responsible for ensuring no outside blood supply was available, while you were responsible for morally blackmailing Mr. Sterling and Ms. Evans's family at the hospital. Is that correct? Yes. Each yes from Leo was like a sledgehammer striking the heart of every person in that room. The entire hall was shrouded in a dead silence. Everyone stared at the screen, jaws agape, as if they were watching a shocking crime thriller. Harrison's face had turned a deep shade of purple. He stood next to me, shaking uncontrollably. In the audience, the color had completely drained from Sophie's face. She tried to run, but the people around her held her in place. The trust fund kid who had been mocking me moments earlier now looked at her, as if she were a piece of garbage. But the most shocked of all was Claire. She stood frozen in the crowd, her eyes glued to the screen. She swayed on her feet, nearly collapsing. She covered her mouth as silent tears streamed down her face. Her cool, composed eyes were now filled with disbelief, agony, rage, and the utter shattering of her world. The video continued. My lawyer played the audio recording Daniel, and I had recovered. The venomous, triumphant voices of Sophie and Leo filled the grand ballroom. I want him to be the reason she loses his baby. When he has nothing left and comes crawling back to me, just watch how I'll make him pay. The evidence was undeniable. The video ended, and the giant screen went black. But the silence in the room lingered. The shocking revelations had left everyone speechless. I picked up the host's microphone from the lectern and scanned the crowd. My gaze finally landed on the woman who was the architect of all this, now on the verge of a complete breakdown. Ms. Sophie Grant, I said, my voice booming through the speakers, reaching every corner of the room. Do you have anything to say now? Or would you prefer I tell everyone how you've been spending my money all these years? How you funneled company funds to your cousin in the marketing department? Or perhaps we should discuss the several boy toys you've been keeping on the side, all paid for with my money. No, stop. Sophie finally snapped, letting out a blood-curdling scream. She broke free and tried to rush the stage to grab the microphone. But before she could take more than a few steps, several police officers burst into the ballroom and tackled her to the ground. Sophie Grant, you are under arrest for multiple counts of fraud and aggravated assault. A pair of cold, steel handcuffs snapped around her wrists. The lavish gala had descended into a chaotic spectacle. I looked out at the sea of stunned faces and smiled. I walked to the edge of the stage and looked down at Claire, who was now openly sobbing. Do you see it clearly now? This is the man you loved, the friend you trusted, and the doctor you admired. Together, they wove a massive web of lies. And for 3 years, you willingly played the fool. With that, I dropped the microphone. Under the terrified, awestruck, and horrified gazes of everyone present, I turned and walked off the stage. Behind me, I could hear Sophie's wails, Harrison's enraged roars, and Claire's suppressed, heartbroken sobs. But my world was, for the first time, completely silent. The live chat had exploded. God tier. Tonight, Caleb is a legend. HLY. Crap. That twist. I'm on my knees. Satisfying. This is the most satisfying thing I have ever witnessed. Don't call him a scumbag anymore. Call him Sterling, breaker chains. So all of this was his plan. He set this whole thing up. Damn, this man is terrifying. 13. After that cataclysmic anniversary gala, I vanished from the public eye. I turned off my phone, got a new unlisted number, and dove headfirst into the turbulent world of capital markets with my small, elite team. The drama of the outside world was no longer my concern. What happened to the Sterling family, The legal fate of Sophie and Leo, how Claire coped with her shattered reality. I didn't know, and I didn't care. My only focus was making money. Lots and lots of money. Enough to buy a private island somewhere. No one knew my name, where I could spend my days fishing, soaking up the sun, and enjoying an early retirement. That was the life I wanted. About a month later, Daniel found me. He told me everything had been settled. Leo was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 15 years. Sophie, implicated in a wider range of crimes, received a life sentence. Her family's business, caught up in investigations of tax evasion and illegal practices, went bankrupt. My father, Harrison, disgraced by the massive scandal, had resigned as chairman. Sterling Corporation's stock had plummeted, and the company was severely wounded. And Claire? I asked, more out of idle curiosity than anything else. Ms. Evans. Daniel's expression was complicated. She has taken over Sterling Corporation. What? Now it was my turn to be surprised. Mr. Harrison offered her the position himself, Daniel explained. He said the Sterling family owed it to her as compensation. Since taking over, she's been ruthless. In just 1 month, she stabilized the stock price and purged the company of parasites like Sophie's cousin. Her methods are incredibly aggressive. Everyone is calling her the new queen of the corporate world. I listened in silence. I never would have imagined that the timid woman who used to cry in corners had this side to her. It seemed that getting away from me had allowed her to truly grow. Good for her. The long-dormant live chat offered a few final thoughts. The female lead has finally risen. The queen arc has begun. Badass Claire is so cool. I love it. So what's the story now? The powerful CEO and her ex-husband, will they ever meet again? By the way, sir, Daniel added, Ms. Evans has been trying to see you. She calls her old number almost every day and has come by our office a few times. I've been turning her away. She said she wants to apologize to you in person. Apologize? I laughed. The person she should be apologizing to wasn't me. It was the original Caleb, the man who was driven to his doom by her and her so-called friends. No meetings, I said with a wave of my hand. Tell her we're even. I don't need her apology. I wish her the best. The best ending for us is to stay out of each other's lives. Understood, Daniel nodded, saying no more. I looked out the window at the bright sun. On my monitor, a trade I had just executed closed. The number in my bank account grew by another significant digit. The taste of freedom and money was sweet. As for love, what's that? Can you eat it? 14. 2 years passed in a blur. My investment firm became a legend in the industry. My instincts were sharp, my decisions swift and brutal. I led my team through several brilliant campaigns, and we made a fortune. I became known as the Wolf of Wall Street, a titan of capital. But I knew the truth. I was just a guy trying to retire as early as possible. Those 2 years were the best of my life. Free from family obligations and melodramatic plots, I could finally live as I pleased. I skied the Alps, dived the Great Barrier Reef, and watched the Great Migration in Africa. I bought a private jet, a yacht, and properties all over the world. I had become the person the original Caleb, or perhaps the person I myself had always wanted to be. I thought I would never cross paths with anyone from my past again, until at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, I saw her. Claire. She was on stage, delivering a keynote speech as a representative of China's most promising young entrepreneurs. She wore a sharp, tailored black suit. Her hair was up, and her makeup was impeccable. Her eyes were confident and unwavering. She stood under the spotlight, speaking fluent English, eloquently analyzing future economic trends. The fragile, pale woman from 2 years ago was completely gone. She had truly become a queen. The live chat, silent for so long, flickered in my mind. Whoa, Queen Claire is a total boss. Caleb is here too. They're finally in the same room again. A historic reunion. Go say hi. Is it weird that I kind of ship them now? Her speech ended to thunderous applause. As she walked off the stage, her path took her right past my seat. Our eyes met. She paused for a fraction of a second, then gave me a small, polite smile and a nod. It was the kind of acknowledgement you give a business acquaintance you recognize but don't know well. I nodded back in response, and then she walked past, without stopping, without a word. An aisle and a world of distance separated us. That evening, at the closing gala, I was standing on the terrace, nursing a drink and feeling the cold night air. A figure came to stand beside me. It was Claire. "Long time no see," she said, her voice calm. "Long time no see," I echoed, raising my glass. "You seem to be doing well," she said, studying me with a faint curiosity. "You too," I replied. It was the truth. She was more dazzling than I could have imagined. A comfortable silence fell between us, punctuated only by the wind, which lifted a strand of her hair and brushed it against my cheek. "About that day," she finally said, her voice soft. "Thank you." I knew she meant the anniversary gala 2 years ago. "Don't thank me," I said, taking a sip of my drink. "I didn't do it for you. I did it for myself." "I know," she smiled, a smile of genuine release. "But still, thank you. Thank you for showing me the truth. And thank you for making me who I am today." I looked at her profile, illuminated by the moonlight. "And you?" I asked. "Did you ever hate me?" "I did," she answered honestly. "When you refused to give me blood, when I found out you froze all my accounts, I wanted to kill you. But after I learned the truth, the hatred was gone. I just felt that we were both ridiculous. Like two puppets on a string, forced to hurt each other, never knowing that someone else was pulling the strings. Now, the strings are cut," she said, turning to face me, her eyes shining with a startling intensity. "We're both free." I looked at her, and a genuine smile spread across my face. She was right. We were both free. 15. "So, what are your plans now?" Claire asked. "Make more money, then retire." I shrugged. "Find a place where nobody knows me and become a happy fisherman." "A fisherman?" She laughed. "The great titan of capital dreams of being a fisherman." "What's wrong with that?" I countered. "Watching the ocean every day, feeling the breeze, no more dealing with fake people and their backstabbing games. Sounds perfect to me." She looked at me, a flicker of envy in her eyes. "It does sound nice." "And you?" I asked. "Planning to be a queen for the rest of your life?" "I don't know." She shook her head. "I'm taking it one day at a time. But for now, I enjoy being in control of my own life." "That's good." We talked for a while longer about mundane things. Markets, projects, the global economy. It felt like catching up with an old friend. It was peaceful, natural. There was no awkwardness, no resentment, and certainly no lingering romance. The melodramatic saga of our past felt like it had happened in another lifetime, a story that had long since faded away. As the gala was winding down, we walked back into the ballroom together. At the entrance, we went our separate ways. "Goodbye, Caleb," she said. "Goodbye, Claire," I replied. We both knew this goodbye likely meant we would never see each other again. But it was the perfect ending. I watched her back as she disappeared into the crowd, poised and resolute. Then I turned and walked in the opposite direction. The noisy, ever-present live chat in my head, I realized, had completely disappeared. My world finally belonged to me and me alone. I drove down a highway in a foreign country, the scenery outside my window unfamiliar and new. The radio was playing a song in a language I didn't understand, but the melody was light and cheerful. I started humming along. My mood felt like the night sky above me, vast, clear, and full of stars. Freedom, I thought, is a damn good feeling. And